Good afternoon. How you all doing? Citizen AY here. Thanks for joining me. I've put the Constitution on there. Welcome to the Constitutional Hour with Citizen AY. I might have another a friend join me. A friend of the house. You all know him as the former Ekiti governorship aspirant. Babatunde Elegbere. He might be joining us. Today we just basically want to read section 465 of the Constitution. But I might praise it all that by let me just see if I can get this right. 1 second. By reading section 4.2a. Constitution belongs to the whole of Nigerians. Let me just see if I can get that back up. So I will be doing that. 1 second. Let me just make sure people that wish to join me live can join me. So here we are. 1 second, please. How are you all doing? There you go. Right. Good afternoon, Angela. How you doing? Hi. Hello, Rita. I will talk to you later on, Angela. I will give you a call because we need to talk about one or two things. And sorry, I missed your flight back from good day, Angela. From when you were heading back from Nigeria, and it was fantastic to see you, Koiki, and Eric together discussing. And this is the beauty of the social media that we have, that you can have a discussion with people right across the contents and then finally meet up. And that's awesome. Good day to you. Good day to you, my sister. And kudos to you, your help in trying to help the young man that's got blistered feet from diabetes, I believe, and the help that you're arranging for him. That's awesome. And people are even donating. I'm really, really pleased. And this is what we need to be doing. We need to be advocating, care, humanity for one another. In our society, it's been so brainwashed out of us. We have this idea that it is not in our gift to deserve those kind of things, to deserve to help one another, and not necessarily look for some kind of reward back. The reward alone in helping somebody that's clearly injured and hurting, and getting them back on their feet, that for me is the reward. If you can help somebody else get back on their feet, get on with their lives, and not only get on with their lives, achieve more, you will know in your own heart that you've done what you can. And that's the kind of embodiment of human spirit and humanity that we need to imbibe back into our society. It's been devoid of that. All this talk about being a Christian, being a Muslim, and all this stuff does not mention our humanity, and that's what we need to really address. So, Angela, honestly, I am really, really so glad to know you and the work that you're doing. You're trying to open people's mind. You're trying to make sure Nigerians start looking at things from a different point of view and not be so caught up in this me, that greed mentality that we are all stuck in, and we need to make that change. And this is where coming on board to the party like AAC and really coming together to drive the change that we all need is of immense importance. Good afternoon, Deba. Good afternoon to you. So I just quickly wanted to state that. How you all doing? Let me just see. I wanted to quickly look at something, and I'm going to see if I can share this on one or two places. So please do share as you're coming in. Please do share. It is important that we, get the message out there. I'll be reading from section 65 today. Sorry about that. Yeah, hello. Yeah, good afternoon, Deba. So please do share. I want to just quickly do one more thing before I go ahead. Sorry about that. The call came in and I just have had to postpone it. So I'm just going to share this on one or two platform pages, and if you can, please do share, because what we need to do is we want to reach as many Nigerians as possible. This Constitutional Hour is proving to be something of great importance that can be beneficial to many Nigerians. And many people have said to me up until the time we started doing this Constitutional Hour on Citizen AY, many Nigerians had no idea what Constitution meant and what impact it had on their lives. They knew about the Bible, that's what they were born with. They knew about the Quran, but when you talk to them about the Constitution, they had no clue. So trust me when I say to you, this Constitutional Hour is something that is of immense importance. It is beneficial to the lives of many Nigerians in so many ways. Now, I just quickly wanted to just 14, is it section 14? Yes. I do want to just go back now. I've shared it on a few places, and I will type in share here. Let me see if I can actually put the Constitution on here as we're talking. So I'll put it on there. I'm going to pin it. So anybody who wants to come on board can actually, I'm pinning the Constitution right there as I'm talking to you now. So it's pinned on there. And then the next thing for me to do now, of course, is to now begin to read the Constitution. Let me see if I can just bring that up. I'm going to read, before I read from section 65, I want to read section 14.2. Because it is of immense importance. Nigerians, yet again, it proves, this section 14.2 proves why it is of importance. Section 14.2 of our Constitution states, the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice. 14.1. 14.2 states, it is hereby accordingly declared that A, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. So the government, those who are in power now, they derive their powers from you, the people. The people that voted them in. And it is something that we need to keep reminding Nigerians, that the power, sovereignty belongs to you, the citizen. Each and every citizen has a stake in our governance, and we need to ensure that. Now, when millions of Nigerians don't even know that sovereignty belongs to them, you can now begin to understand why I am promoting heavily this idea of making the knowledge of our Constitution mandatory for every Nigerian. It is the foundation of our citizenship of our nation, knowing this Constitution. So please do share. B, 14.2b, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Clearly, on that particular point, I'm going to read again. The security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of the government. On that point alone, this APC and PDP previous government, they have failed Nigerians, because they failed to fulfill the primary purpose, which is the welfare, security and welfare of Nigerians. They failed. And instead, they are telling us to pray. They are distracting us in all manner of ways to prevent us from asking them the questions as to why they are failing to protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. Section 14.2b states, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of the government. And then finally, C, the participation by the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with this provision. So section 14.2 A, B, and C, they tell us, the C caps it all off. It tells us that we, the people, we are mandated. And I'm going to read it, section 14.2c. The participation by the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. And as I said at the beginning, 14.2a, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government through this Constitution derives all its powers and authority. So these are things that we must make Nigerians aware of. And I will continue saying this and making this aware. So awareness in making people aware of this. One of the things that you often hear Nigerians say, and for valid and in many cases for valid reasons, one of the things you hear Nigerians often say is, well, this Constitution means nothing. It's useless. I agree with you. There are many sections of this Constitution that is wrong. Take 29.4b that says a woman shall be deemed to be of married age, and a married woman shall be deemed to be of full age. A woman shall be deemed to be of full age. Now that means that if in the north, if they marry a girl, in fact, across the whole nation, if they marry a girl of 6-year-old, once she's married, she's deemed to be a full age woman, a mature woman, to make decisions, and that can have huge, horrendous impact on our elections. That 29.4b is wrong. We need to expunge it from our Constitution, and this is where we need to get involved. Now, like I said, many would say the Constitution is rubbish, it's not relevant, it's wrong, it's everything else. I agree with you. But there are parts of it that works. And in any case, even if we want to, hey, Big Fan Femi, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, if in any case, to make the change, you have to be involved in the process. And by getting involved in the process, it means we all read the current constitution as it stands. Currently, the constitution that we're saying is not working. It is the same constitution that those who loot from us use to protect themselves and get out of being persecuted. They use it. They use it to protect themselves from getting persecuted from the looting, that blatant looting. It is the very same constitution. So for me, good afternoon, Abum. So for me, that alone tells us if they are using this constitution that we all say is rubbish to protect themselves and get away with it, it tells us there's something in it, and we must get involved in the process now. Use that same constitution to hold them to account. And the changes, once we now begin to be involved in that process, we can now make the necessary changes that we need to that constitution. Because up until now, up until the election coming up, February 16, 2019, up until that date, this election applies to every single Nigerian inside and outside Nigeria. So for that reason alone, I state that it is the responsibility of every Nigerian to ensure that they begin to read this constitution. And for those who are aware of it, it is mandatory that you share this information. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I talk about Constitutional Hour. I try and do it every week. The last few weeks I've not been able to do it because I've been preparing for the fundraising event with AAC TIB, and that went well. Now I'm back on. I'm reading from Section 65, which I said. But I'm saying to you, for those who are saying to us the Constitution is useless, is baseless, is everything else, I agree with you in many areas. But still, at the end of the day, those who are in power, when they commit crimes, when they commit corruption, when they do blatant looting, guess what they use to protect themselves? They use our constitution, and they get away with it. So for that reason, we need to empower each and every Nigerian citizen to know their rights as laid down in this current constitution. Once we get in the new AAC president that we want come February 16, 2019, we can now be set about changing the current constitution to the one that more reflects and suits our needs as a group of people in the nation we call Nigeria. So that's why I am doing what I'm doing. So I hope that makes some sense, makes sense to you all. Good afternoon, Abum. Welcome to you. So what I'm really trying to just to make sure that we are on board with that, and it is not something that is what's the word? That is you know, that is misunderstood in any way, shape, or form. Now I'm gonna go and read from section 65. Let's just see if I can find that. Section 65. I'm just gonna read from there now. Here we go. So section 65. Qualifications for the membership of the National Assembly, right of attendance. Subject to provisions of the section 66 of the Constitution, a person shall be qualified for election as a member of the Senate if he is a citizen of Nigeria and has attained the age of 35 years, and B, the House of Representatives if he is a citizen of Nigeria and has attained the age of 30 years. So they're saying for Senate, you have to be 35 years old. For House of Reps, you have to be 30. Now, not too young to run is something that's supposed to address this issue, and I think they're trying to do that, and that's another issue which we will get into. But I'm reading the Constitution as it stands. Now, section 65(2) goes on to states, a person shall be qualified for election under subsection 1 of this section if he has been educated up to the school up to at least school certificate level of its equivalent, and B, he's a member of a political party and is sponsored by that party. Now, straight away, we start asking a question on this particular point. On this particular point, I just want to ask, when I say Buhari, WAEC, I think you will all understand that we have a president who cannot tell us where his certificate is. And even when they provide the certificate, the certificate that was provided, the school that provided that certificate was not even in existence when he was in school. So there are a lot of questions that our president need to answer. And we, the people, good afternoon, Rosemary. So we, the people, need to be aware of these kind of things. This is why I read the Constitution. You know, we need to be aware. I mean, like I said here, it says, you know, a person shall be qualified for election under subsection 1 of this section if he has been educated up to at least school certificate level or its equivalent, and he's a member of a political party and is sponsored by that party. It is not satisfactory that the teacher will say, yes, he studied in my school and he did good grades. No, we need to see proper evidence. And to date, our president, so-called President Buhari, has not provided that evidence. And he is again contravening our constitution by doing that. You know, it states here, you have to have school certificate, school certificate or its equivalent. He can't provide any of them. He can't provide any of them. So this tells you just what we are dealing with. You know, now section 66 goes on to say, no person shall be qualified for election of the Senate or House of Representatives if A, subject to provisions of section 28 of this Constitution, he has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of the country other than Nigeria, or except in such cases as may be prescribed by the National Assembly, has made a declaration of allegiance to such a country. B, under any law in force in any part of Nigeria, he is adjudged to be a lunatic or otherwise declared to be of unsound mind. C, he is under sentence of death imposed on him by any competent court of law or in tribunal in Nigeria, or a sentence if imprisonment or fine of an offense involving dishonesty or fraud by whatever name called, or any other offense imposed on him by such a court or tribunal, or substituted by a competent authority for any other sentence imposed on him by such a court. Straightforward. No argument there. Thank you, Rosemary. So he is an undischarged bankrupt, having been adjudged or otherwise declared bankrupt under the law in force in any part of Nigeria. F, he is a person employed in the public service of the Federation or of any state and has not resigned, withdrawn, or retired from such employment 30 days before the date of the election. G, he is a member of a secret society. H, he has been indicted for embezzlement or fraud by Judicial Commission of Inquiry or an administrative panel of inquiry or tribunal set up under the Tribunals of Inquiry Act, a Tribunal of Inquiry law, or any other law by the federal or state government, which indictment has been accepted by federal or state government respectively. Or I, has presented a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Committee. So you can see it's very much straightforward. The flaws in our laws. Just ask a question. All I have to say on this question of allegiance to a country, I just have to say to you, Saraki has got British passport and he's got Nigerian passport, and yet he's serving. So that law, that's one of the areas of our law that we need to tighten up. We either say it doesn't matter if you have a foreign passport, as long as you're a Nigerian, you can apply. Or we say if you have a national passport and a dual passport, you have to give that up, and we stick to that law. The ambiguity that we have now in our law is because for too long, those who are in power, when it suits them, they will shift the law to suit their needs, not to uphold the law. So that law is now something that becomes a personal property of theirs rather than to meet the needs of all Nigerians. So that's why I'm highlighting that. Section 66(2). Where in respect of any person who has been adjudged to be lunatic, declared to be of unsound mind, sentenced to death or imprisonment, or adjudged or declared bankrupt, any appeal against decision is pending in any court of law in accordance with any law in force in Nigeria. Subsection 1 of this section shall not apply during a period beginning from the date when such an appeal is lodged and ending on the date when the appeal is finally determined, or as the case may be, the appeal lapses or is abandoned, whichever is earlier. So I mean it's pretty much straightforward. It's nothing to argue about here. Then section 67(3). For the purposes of this section, subsection 2 of this section, appeal includes any application for an injunction or an certiorari mandamus prohibition or habeas corpus or any appeal from any such application. So it's pretty much straightforward. Again, all of this is stuff to do with making sure that we are aware of our rights, and those who are going to run for office, they are aware of the terms and conditions under which they will run, as in those areas, in House of Reps and House of Assembly and House of and Senate. So pretty much straightforward. Right, Section 67. The President may amend any joint meeting of the National Assembly or any meeting of either House of National Assembly, either to deliver an address on national affairs including fiscal measures, or to make such statement on the policy of government as he considers to be of national importance. Okay, straightforward. Nothing to argue about there. 67.2. A minister of the government of the Federation attend either House of National Assembly if invited to express to the House the conduct of his ministry, and in particular when the affairs of that ministry are under discussion. Again, straightforward, nothing to argue about. That's normal course of procedure. That's what should happen. It's what's happening behind. It's when they're padding the budget and they're now using somebody to ratify it, and they say, and then you'll have a ridiculous minister saying, "Oh, the budget was properly spended." That tells you that it's a ridiculous joke, because the man who's telling you a complete nonsense in English terms, not even able to speak in our local languages, to explain to us what the budget for sports, where it's spent, and give us a detailed explanation. So that's where we have problems. So Section 67.3. Nothing in this section shall enable any person who is not a member of Senate or of the House of Representatives to vote in that house or in any other committees. So straightforward. People should not be allowed to vote. It's restricted. You have to be a member of that house. Straightforward. Nothing to argue about there. We're not gonna, nothing to ponder on here. It's straightforward. The key thing about what I'm doing here is the awareness of our Constitution and the part that we can use to, depending on our skill level, our interest, and what we're trying to achieve for our nation, how we can go about doing that. This book is, like I said, it's not perfect. The Constitution is not perfect, but it's got many parts of it that are working that we can all apply right now. Good afternoon, Cliff Agama. Good afternoon to you, my brother. So, Section 68. A member of the Senate or House of Representatives shall vacate his seat in the House of which he is a member if he becomes a member of another legislative house. Straightforward. B. Any other circumstances arise that if he are not a member of the Senate or House of Representatives will cause him to be disqualified for election as a member. C. He ceases to be a citizen of Nigeria. D. He becomes president, vice president, governor, deputy governor, or minister of government of the Federation, or a commissioner of the government, or of a state or special advisor. That's straightforward. It's about separation of powers. You can't have somebody being in the Senate or House of Reps and then being in government. There's something called separation of powers. You have the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive. So if someone were to be a vice president and also be House of Rep or senator, that's, you're holding two different arms of government at the same time, and that is conflict of interest right there. And you can actually, all kinds of manners of things can happen in that situation. So that's what that is really going about. It's about clear separation of powers defined. You cannot hold or rule as a government minister and be in our National Assembly, or vice versa. Pretty much straightforward. Right. E. Save as otherwise prescribed by this Constitution, he becomes a member of the Commission or other established by the Constitution or by any other law. Okay, that's fine. So sometimes they will set up committees within the House of Assembly. That he can be, because then they're overseeing a particular aspect of which he's a member, and he's been appointed to oversee it and come back and report back to the House of Assembly or House of Assembly on. Straightforward. Fine. G. Being a person whose election to the House was sponsored by a political party, he becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which the House was elected. That's a very interesting point. Do you all remember this thing where now Saraki switched from APC to now PDP, and there is some sort of ambiguity there, isn't there? That needs to be clarified. And we know, I mean, in any case, we don't support either APC or PDP because we know they're both one and the same, and they're playing a game, and they're trying to use that. Good afternoon, Frank Bello. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on board. And ladies and gentlemen, Frank Bello is a well-learned Nigerian. He knows, he's been at the coalface. He's been in there during the Babangida era, during the Buhari era. He knows many of these people, and he's forthright in his ideas and opinions as to how with the way forward. There might not be things I necessarily agree with, but there are things which I acknowledge that are facts which he is very, very clear and concise and knowledgeable about. He's someone that I hold in high regard, someone I respect, and someone that has invaluable ideas about the way forward for Nigeria. Like I said again, we all have ideas. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do, but it's always good to exchange ideas, even if you have a different political perspective. And I think in Nigeria, one of the things we must begin to do is we must provide an air in which we allow political discussion and the political disagreement, but still holding on to the tenets of a true democracy, which means that you can argue and you can discuss, but when it now comes to ensuring the smooth running of that democracy, we all work together to ensure that democracy is sustainable, ongoing, and it's corruption free. So I really am grateful for Frank Bello for joining me, and I just wanted to state that as I was going along. Now, I was reading to you that section where I'm going to read the second part of section 68G. 68G. Now it says, provided that his membership of the latter political party is not as a result of a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or of a merger of two or more political parties or factions by one which he was previously sponsored. Now you can see there's a gray area. There is something of a gray area, because when Saraki now moved from APC, moved to PDP, and Akpabio did the same thing from PDP to APC, you could see there's an argument to be made for it. It is not clear cut. It is ambiguous to a certain extent, and that probably we need to look at. For me, in either case, both parties, APC or PDP, are complicit in the destruction of the lives of millions of Nigerians and the continued impoverishment and enslavement of millions of Nigerians. So I am not supporting either party. What I'm more interested in is how we as citizens can ensure that the process through which they're going to carry out any procedures of moving from one party to the next is clear, is concise, is unambiguous, cannot be misinterpreted, and it is adhered to exactly. So that area is open for discussion and interpretation in my own point of view. But that's just me. 68.2. The President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as the case may be, shall give effect to the provisions of the subsection of this section. So, however, that the President of the Senate or Speaker of the House of Representatives or a member shall first present evidence satisfactory to the House concerned that any of the provisions of that subsection has become applicable in respect of that member. So I mean, it looks like it says something to do with the consensus here. That something that is all agreed to. Let me just read that again. I'm trying to make sure I get the sense of this properly. President of Senate of the Speaker of House of Representatives, as the case may be, shall give effect to provisions of subsection 1 of this section. So, however, that the President of the Senate, Speaker's House of Representatives or member shall first present evidence satisfactory to the House concerned that any provisions of that section has become applicable in respect of that member. So, if a member were to do something that was against the rules, they are saying that the Speaker, the Senate, or the House of Reps will actually hold that member to account and apply the rules of the House as to that particular situation regarding that member. Straight away. That's clear enough. That's nothing to argue about. It's straightforward. So and then finally 68.3. A member of the Senate or of the House of Representatives shall be deemed to be absent without just cause from a meeting of the House of which is a member, unless the person presiding certificates in writing that he is satisfied that the absence of the member from the meeting was for a just cause. Again, Nothing to argue about. Straightforward. It's, you know, it's just a registration process, really. That's what it down to. No problem. Section 69. I'm going to read that again. And I think I'll probably stop at section 69 now at this point, because I want to now go and talk about political things as we go along. And I will talk about, you know, as we go along, one or two things that are coming up. Now, Section 69. A member of the Senate or House of Representatives may be recalled as such a member if A. There is presented to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission a petition in that behalf signed by more than one half of the persons registered to vote in that member's constituency, alleging their loss of confidence in that member. And B. The petition is thereafter in a referendum conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission within 90 days of that date of receipt of the petition, approved by a simple majority of the votes of the persons registered to vote in that member's constituency. Now, you recall, they tried to do something with Dino Melaye, where they tried to recall him. And I mean, it's interesting now that process, this is what that process relates to. It relates to Section 69. Now, that process was somewhat hijacked. And today now, the people, we know it was something to do with Yahaya Bello and the governor and Dino Melaye, both of whom, let me add and let me say categorically, in my view, they are both corrupt. The governor has not paid people for months, and then we have a senator, a sitting senator, that's driving a car into his house and parking it and showing that on social media to tell people that he's living well. Well, whereas people within his constituency are suffering. That is grounds, on that alone, that is grounds for his recall. And it should be impeached. It should be impeached. It should be recalled forthwith. But we know because of the lack of knowledge of our constitution by millions of Nigerians, those who are in power, they suppress that knowledge. And then they use that suppression to oppress the people that they're meant to serve. And this is why I, Citizen AY, stand here, always coming on to talk about the Constitution and justify the reason why I always ask people to support me. You can still support, you can join me. There's a group they called the Citizen AY Constitutional Awareness Action Group. Yes, they are armed robbers. Absolutely, absolutely, sir. Frank Bello. They are armed robbers, and I am incensed. Every time I look on the TV and I see these guys, would you believe they went into the house of a guy who owns who has a drug industry. Curious to the guy for making the money, and the house was plated with gold, painted ceilings and doors and everything else. And the first person I saw on there was Dino Melaye. He was standing in that house, that opulent house. The question I have to ask that's these people is this: how come has that man who's made that money, has he paid the right amount of tax? And why is it that we have ministers and senators going to that man's house? That tells us something is wrong with that process. The man, are we sure he's paying the right taxes? That kind of opulence in a place where millions of Nigerians are suffering. I am not begrudging the man for owning and making his wealth. What I am begrudging is the fact that the process that is meant to oversee him, he's now co-opting that process in and telling them, you do as I tell you. And that means that he will never pay the right amount of taxes. When you see a minister of the federal government of Nigeria going to that house and marveling at everything else, in that marveling, he's forgotten his job. His number one job is to ensure that our country is earning hard and collecting our taxes from all our industries. But the fact that there's rubbing shoulders in that man's house with a flash car, incidentally, I keep saying it, and I get really angry when I think about this. Why is it that these people are not buying Inoso cars? Why is it the cars made in Nigeria? Why do we have to go and bring a Bentley to show that you have arrived? Every time we buy a Bentley, we're not providing job for Nigerians. We're providing job for people in foreign countries. When are these people going to get it? Those who say they are rich, use your mentality for crying out loud. I get so angry. We cannot build by buying. We are a nation of importers. We don't export. The only thing we export is the oil. And even that, we have to export it, they process it, and then bring it back. So we are paying double money. We are wasting money in our nation. I get incensed when I see people that should know better engaging with these looters. So the guy who's managed to build that business, I don't know what it's called, who's managed to make that business viable and make enough money, kudos to you for making the money. But are you paying the right amount of taxes? That's the question I have to ask you. If you are not, then you should do so. Then you should not. You should not, as a matter of decency, you should avoid any government official. You should not be welcoming government officials into your own house. Because by you doing that, you are complicit in the corruption going on. You are complicit in the corruption going on. You should not be engaged. These people are stealing our money, and you are welcoming them to your house. And every time you see, if you want to know a man, you know him by the circle of friends that he associates with. So when you are associating with these corrupt government officials, Dino Melaye and the Minister for Employment, the crook, those who are impoverishing Nigerians, it tells us that we know where you are. You are not with the people. You are against the people. And that's what I'm talking about. I am not saying that you stole any money. I haven't got proof of that. But what I'm saying is that the circle of friends that you are associating with is telling us that your money, we're not even sure if you're paying the amount of taxes. And that is wrong. Because if you're denying paying the amount of taxes that you should be paying, that in fact impacts our infrastructure. No right, no road, no light, no road, no school, no bridges, no toilets, no sanitation, no security. It impacts all that. So you can flash all the money you want. But if you're not doing your core job, which is to ensure that the Nigeria as a nation, as an entity, works first and foremost for the citizens of Nigeria, then you're not doing your job. No matter how much you earn. That's what I would like to say on that. So I'm not at all pleased with that situation. That's my own personal opinion. But I cannot, of course, tell you, oh, the man is corrupt. But what I can tell you is Dino Melaye was sitting in that place with a phone on his hand. And this is the man that drives a car into his house, parks it on the side, and shows the picture on social media. And the people he's serving are suffering. Nigerians, we need to receive sense. We need to receive sense. And we must change. And this is why I talk about, I urge you all, if you can, there's a group I will check afterwards. The Citizen AY Constitutional Awareness Action Group. Please join me and talk about the Constitution. All I want you to do is talk about the Constitution and the benefits of why Nigerians should take that on. The Constitution is the most important document. It's the foundation of what we are as a citizen of our nation. And that document must be shared far and wide. I can't do it alone. There's 200 million Nigerians to get to. And I need as many people to join me on this journey. We need to change our mindset. The Bible is one thing. You can do that in your own time. The Quran is one thing. You can do that in your own time. But your rights are contained within our Constitution. Your rights as a Nigerian. And if you don't know that, the Bible will not guarantee your rights. The Quran will not guarantee your rights. That's why I'm so insistent. If there's anything, any lasting legacy I want to leave on this planet, and that is I want to make millions of Nigerians know their rights. They must know their rights. That's the only way we can change our mindset. If you know your rights, you will not accept anybody to trot on your rights. You won't. I'm sorry if I sound a bit, if I've raised my voice, but I'm really, just look at Osibajo going into Lagos and handing out 10,000 naira to the youth, and they're accepting it. That they're mortgaging, they're selling their future away. They're selling their future away. And nobody, and this is a vice president, and he should know better. Sovereignty belongs to the people of the nation. And they're now presenting as though they're the ones, without them, you can't survive. It's the other way around. We elect them, and we should hold them to account. And without knowing this Constitution, this is what I'm saying, without knowing this Constitution, and knowing the effects of it on you, and the powers that contain with it that you can use to hold them to account, nothing will change. More than anything else, no Bible will give us this knowledge. None. It won't. I'm sorry I'm sweating now because I've really got, can see I've actually got agitated about this, Yes, the guys pay peanuts of, exactly. Now, I mean, imagine 30,000. How can you say you want to pay somebody 30,000 naira? A bag of rice alone in Nigeria right now, from what I understand, is 19,000 naira. 19,000 naira. So when you pay them, you say, and they're getting that. So currently they're earning about 18,000. So in a month they can't even pay for a bag of rice. And let's not forget they're even owed 6 months, a year sometimes. So I mean, Frank, you're right. What about the salary or wages to his employees? Check it out. The guy pays peanuts or crumbs. Exactly. That the guy that runs that company, we want to know how much he pays. Is he paying the right taxes? Is he paying his employees the right amount? So before we start celebrating and start hailing somebody, we need to know the background. Our government should be willing to tell us how much each of these companies are paying for as taxes in our government, in our country. There should be a website that we should be able to go to click on and go, hang on, how much is that country paying? That company paying? Are they paying the right amount of taxes? How many employees do they have? How much are they paying them? Are they paying them regularly? Have they missed any payment? These are the kind of things that we need, and we should make information very available. But the only way that would happen, exactly, Ola, you need. You're right, and this is why our next president to become February 16, 2019, President Omoyele Sowore, he talks about 100,000 naira per head for each of the workers, and that's right, a month, 100,000 naira a month, and the way he equates it, that's money that would help in their lives. It will make a big difference. I think it equates to the amount of that they will pay somebody in, I think if I'm correct, in Turkey every month, something like that, in terms of equivalent. And that's what we need to be doing. We shouldn't be doing a race down to the bottom. We should be going to the race to the top, to give quality, to give good life to Nigerians, to make our country a country that's great. So I'm unashamed in pressing forward, in pushing and telling Nigerians, you need to know your right. Because your right affects everything you do. Your right affects it. If you don't know your right, you will not demand the right wages. You will not hold your government to account. You will be busy praying whilst they are looting. Your right is the foundation for everything in your nation. Your right. Nothing else. Not the Bible, not the Quran. Your right. And your rights are contained in the Constitution. So get to it, read it, share it. By the way, if you've got friends and family in Nigeria, share this with them. Make them aware. We need a societal change. We need a societal mindset reset. These guys they've left Nigerians right in the pit of destitution, impoverishment. And we can change it. We can't change it. We must not consider ourselves helpless. We have the power to make that change. And I'm here to state that to you categorically. So please do share. I'm going to read one more section. Section 70, and then I'll leave the constitutional hour for now, because I think my hour is coming up, and that's about, just about right. But I wanted to just talk about that. There are reasons. The fact that our president cannot provide. Yes, exactly. They're problem, but we need to wake them up, because they don't even know their rights. That's why they are taking 10,000 naira. If they knew their rights, they wouldn't be taking it. But you are absolutely right, Mario Femi, Olufemi. You are absolutely right. You are on point, my brother. Now let me just see. Section 70, I'm going to just read that, then we can have a bit of a chat for a while before I move on. Let me see. Section 70, a member of the Senate or House of Representatives shall receive such salary or other allowances as Revenue Mobilization Allocation Fiscal Commission may determine. Now, on that particular point, Senate and House of Reps, we know, I'm going to stop there now. I'm going to stop at Section 70, and I'll make a note of it so that we read from Section 71 next time. Let me just put that. So I don't know, Section 71, carry on from Section 71. So that we carry on. So the process, anybody can go and read this, and later on, and just carry on from where we were. Now, on this issue, specific issue of salaries, we all know that our senators are getting 13.5 million naira. 13.5 million naira a month. And Nigerians are suffering. It is unacceptable. And guess who? A member of the Senate shall receive salary as Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission may determine. So we need to know who are in that Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. We need to know who are in there. We need to know what they do. They need to provide a breakdown. These figures should be something that is available to Nigerians. Like I said to you, Section 14(2)(a), sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, and it's our right to know what we are paying each and every person that we are electing to serve us, the people. And unless we start doing that, unless we start taking that responsibility, Section 14(2)(a), it states, and I'll read that out because I want people to understand that before I finally close. I want to read that because many Nigerians are not aware of this, and we need to be aware of these things. It is our look. Sovereignty belongs to you, and when it belongs to you, it means that anybody in government, they are answerable to you as a Nigerian citizen, and they cannot walk away from you because sovereignty belongs to you. And it states here, Section 14(2)(a), it is hereby accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through this constitution derives all its powers and authority. And furthermore, section 14(2)(c), the participation by the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. So Nigerians, what I want you to do from here on, if anywhere you hear anything about our governance and the money they spend, you have a right as a Nigerian. In fact, it is your duty. You are mandated under section 14(2)(c) to participate in your governance. You are mandated under section 14(2)(c), and the government should ensure that you are carrying out that participation. By you questioning them, you are carrying out your sovereign right to demand answers from the failure of our government to fulfill your needs. Section 14(2)(b) states, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. That's section 14(2)(b). So the government owes you a duty of care for your own security and welfare. Each and every Nigerian. That's what that means. And I want Nigerians to really understand that point. I can't emphasize how important this crusade that I'm on, to make sure that Nigerians join me. I have a page, a group, Citizen AY Constitutional Awareness Action Group. We want action. We want to take action to make Nigerians aware of their right and begin to demand it from those they elect into government, so that we'll stop youths accepting 10,000 naira from a vice president that should know better. That, by him offering 10,000 naira, that's actually against our law. That's wrong, and he should know way better than that. And the fact that he's doing that shows that he's not fit enough to be our vice president. So we should kick him out. So anyway, I'm going to leave the constitutional hour now, because it's exactly 3 o'clock now. And but I hope you all found that enjoyable. I hope you found something that you can learn from it. You can of course play it back. Any areas that you have issue with, you can leave a comment on here, share among your friends and family. We are about raising awareness in our people, making people know that it is their time to actually take charge. We are no longer prepared to accept any excuses from these looters in power. We cannot accept. We will not be silent. It is enough is enough. We have had enough of their lies. We have had an absolute enough of their lies. And we shouldn't be taking it. We shouldn't be taking any more of this from them. It is not on. Now I'm going to quickly change gear a little bit. I'm going to play something to you now. Let me see if it can work. Here we go. It's now.
It's time to join hands to save our fatherland. The soul of our country is yearning for
help
to be free from greed and
wickedness.
so wherever
Right
is the way
out.
for a new
Nigeria of our need. ANC, take it back action. ANC, take it back action.
Nigeria now.
Save Nigeria now, action. ANC, take it back action. ANC, Nigeria now. Take it back action. There we go. So I wanted you all to just hear that, and I might play it one more time. What I'm trying to do, we need to, AAC for me, as you all know, I am a supporter, a full-fledged supporter of the AAC, African Action Congress. We had an event in Manchester, which was a success. We had a few hiccups here and there, but the event went successfully. We were able to bring in our president to be February 16, 2019, Omoyele Sowore. We were able to bring him live into Manchester. He was able to be there, and the event passed on successfully. It was a great event. Many people came. There were fundraising at night, which was a success, and there will be more updates about that. Take it back action. Indeed, Deva, indeed. Let me see if I can play that track one more time. Future is here. The future is now.
It's time to join hands to save our fatherland.
The land. It's a guy called Keyboard, I think.
The soul of our country
He's yearning for help
to be free
from
from
wickedness.
so
Let it fly
is the way
out.
for a new
Nigeria of our freedom. AAC, take it back, action. AAC, take it back, action. Save Nigeria now. Take it back, action. Save Nigeria now. I take it back, action. There we go. So I love that track. It's a jingle. But I can't say more than all I can say to you is Spicer Heat is the name of the game. That's our manifesto: security, power, infrastructure, fighting corruption, economy, restructuring, health, education, agriculture, tourism, and culture. That's what it is. So I am all for that, and I fully support the AAC, and I want Nigerians. We have a struggle on our hands. Like I told you now earlier on in the Constitutional Hour, many of us don't know our rights. And because we don't know our rights, we resort to the Bible or the Quran for help and salvation. The salvation that we need lies in our Constitution. Even as we speak, the Constitution is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. It is way far from perfect. It is ineffective in many areas. It is wrong. But the central plank of our Constitution, our rights as contained, they are strong enough for us to be able to begin to hold those who are looting from us on a day-to-day basis, daily, to hold them to account. And that's what I subscribe wholeheartedly to AAC. AAC is the party, it's the way forward, and that's the party that can make the change. AAC, take it back, action, save Nigeria now, I save Nigeria now. AAC, take it back, action, save Nigeria now, I save Nigeria now, action. That's what we need. We need action from Nigerians. We need you all to come on and join us on this journey. We can do this. Let me see if I can have Barry. Barry, are you up to having a chat? If you have a chat with me, because I want to talk about another issue again, which I've heard about, and I wanted to raise that. But if you're able to, fine. If not, I can do that by myself, and we can chat. And I enjoy the interactiveness of this medium, and we can put things forward. So I'm all for suggestions. I want people to join me. Don't forget to join the Citizen AY Constitutional Awareness Action Group. If you can join us there, what we want you to do is pin the Constitution on here. Just come on there, read the Constitution, interpret it, read it out among your friends and family. Just share. All we need that information to reach 200 million Nigerians. It has to. Even in the villages. If you have family and friends and you're up to 100 and they have phones, send this information to them. Let them begin to read the Constitution. Let them know their rights so they can begin to ask for their own rights themselves. Even in their villages, in their towns, in the cities, they can begin to demand it and begin to hold these looters to account. So that's all right, Barry. I understand. I know it's not. That's okay. So that's what I'm about. The other issue I want to talk about now was I'm hearing this stuff about when I say Jibril or Jubril. Jubril, you guys, many people will know. Have you ever heard about a guy? There's a guy called Jubril from some country in I don't know. I can't forget what I call. I'm going to try and get it out actually, and I'm going to read it out to you. I actually want to read this, and it's interesting how apparently there may well be an imposter who's actually acting as our head of state. Now I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know. But it's worth exploring. Yes, exactly. Alleged double. So I'm going to quickly I want to read that out. So it says here, alleged Buhari double and the spirit of public inquiry by Jideofor Adibe. The Buhari is Jubril narrative has echoes from the Biafra movement. Okay, some people are talking about that it's not true and everything else. It's interesting though, however. There might be some subtle changes here and there, and we need to be asking a question. We need to get to the bottom of it, because we do not want an issue where you had the issue of the former president that died for months on end, and then it actually turned out he was died, and they were telling us lies to keep him in place. Yadua, the one that passed away. So we need to be very, very aware. Okay, let me see. Let me just, I'll try and see if I can add you again. It might be the system playing about. I'll try. So, I mean, for me, there are pictures going on that shows the old Buhari, the ears and the hands, and there's he looks, in the old pictures, he's very, very frail. I don't know, but it's worth asking a question, particularly what happened to Yaradua. For months on end, when he was dead, we were told he was fine. So we have, as Nigerians, we have grounds to be asking questions. We have grounds. Is there, what is the purpose if indeed, is that the body we saw? And also, recently, apparently in France, there was some issue that he didn't actually turn up live on there. They show pictures of him in a room with kids getting an award or giving them something or whatever. But he wasn't actually on the parade itself. So that leaves us with many questions. And then I'm also hearing about Abba Kyari coming to get healthcare in UK. Why are they coming to the UK? Why aren't they staying in Nigeria? When we talk about having lack of healthcare for Nigerians, we got family and friends who need healthcare. That young man that have diabetic feet, that's blistered, that's dangerous, an open sore wound. That young man needs the healthcare. Why isn't our government doing that? Why aren't they doing it? So these are the questions we Nigerians should be asking. And this is why I always encourage Nigerians. Our constitution is your first point of call. You need to read it. You need to know your rights. Because when you know your rights, you can hold these people to account. Abba Kyari is going away, is in the UK right now, receiving healthcare. And yet, Nigerians in their millions are dying because of the lack of healthcare. There's so many issues. That another one I found out, NAFDAC haven't got equipment to be able to do the work they're supposed to do in Nigeria. So Nigerians are yet again left exposed. But they find money. There's money to build all these wonderful million houses. They don't build. Edo State former governor, he was supposed to build a hospital in Edo State. There's no equipment. There's no staff. Even the building is empty. And these guys, and he should be arrested and he should be made to account for where the money went. Instead, he's built himself huge mansion with a private pool, a private ground, private everything, using solar panel. And the people of that state are suffering. So, I mean, we should be. This is where I encourage you, Nigerians. I encourage you, please, do not be silent. Do not accept their excuses. Do not be. I'm just going to see if I can. Oh, it's too much. Okay. The light is just hitting my head, but I hope you can see me. So, do not accept the excuses and the lies. I'm just, what I'm quoting to you, I'm quoting to you now. Let me just see if I can find that. Where are we now? Sorry, beg your pardon. I'm just going to try and find something for you to see. Right, yeah. So, Abba Kyari, ill, jets out for medical, to UK for medical treatment. This is madness. And then they tell us they're working for Nigerians. So where's the healthcare? Where's the healthcare that they say they put in place for Nigerians? Because that healthcare, to show us that it's working, these ministers should be the first ones using that healthcare. They should be in Nigeria using the healthcare in Nigeria, not jetting off to another country and using their healthcare system, leaving Nigerians suffering. I mean, it says here, the chief of staff of the President Muhammadu Buhari has jetted out of Nigeria to United Kingdom on medical grounds. Information obtained by leading reporter revealed that Abba Kyari, who recently celebrated his 80th birthday, will upon return have a good time with friends and family. It will be recalled that his people overseas treatment bill was alleged to be paid from the ports of Nigeria. Nigerian High Commission in the United Kingdom. So even now, you can now see. Hi, good afternoon, Emily. You can see now the healthcare costs of our ministers and government is paid by the Nigerian High Commission. When the High Commission, their number one job is to serve Nigerians who are on the ground in UK, not to pay the bill for the ministers. Straight away, you can see that our system is flawed. If the High Commission, instead of focusing on serving Nigerians, is focusing on serving the minister that is supposed to be in Nigeria, using the healthcare system in Nigeria. The focus of the ministers should be on ensuring that we have infrastructures that are working, things that are functioning. And then the focus of the High Commission in this country should be to ensure the welfare and safety of every single Nigerian in this country as Nigerians. But no, they're paying the bill. They paid the bill for a minister They paid the bill. I mean, these guys are going on a free lunch on the back of Nigerians. They're taking on a free lunch. And this is why I come on here and talk about the Constitution. This is why I want Nigerians. If you're not aware of your rights, you will not be thinking enough. You won't have the foresight in your thinking to go, hang on, this guy owes us a duty of responsibility to fulfill the role to which he was elected. All the ministers, their focus should be on Nigeria. Are they meeting the responsibilities they're supposed to meet? Is security there? Is safety there? Do we have electricity? Do we have good roads? Do we have water? Do we have, good schools? Do we have all of those hospitals? All of these things. That's their job. Not to gallivant around the world and use our public money and leave Nigerians suffering. The money now that they paid for his healthcare bills now, that means it denies a Nigerian who's in jail in the UK the visit that the embassy officials should be doing to see to his welfare. It impacts the receipt for us to be able to collect our passport. Those who are the Nigerians who are in the UK, to get a system that's functioning so that the passport process is smoother and clearer, and making it easier for Nigerians to be able to get in and out. This impacts things, but people, unless we are reading this Constitution and understanding the impact on our lives, we can't make that change. So I am really stating clearly and unambiguously, my drive is to ensure that Nigerians in our millions, we continue to read this Constitution, to follow it, to take it on. It is part of us. It is something that we need to be aware of. That is the only way we can break the yoke in which these looters, these crooks, have placed us in. They've enslaved Nigerians, and they continue to enslave Nigerians while they're telling us lies. How else is it that the election is coming, and now the VP has now gone to be giving 10,000 naira to youths in Lagos? That's vote buying. That is a vote buying in any other language. That's vote buying, and we shouldn't accept it. So I want Nigerians to really ensure that we have to rise up mentally. I'm not talking about taking your cutlass or whatever and going to fight. I'm talking about mentally. Mentally, we need to be aware. We need to sharpen ourselves mentally, and we do that by way of this Constitution. We start reading it. Like I said, it is not perfect. It is not perfect. I'm going to say that now. It is by a long shot not perfect. 1 second, please. Let me just, I want to try and do something. Let me see if that helps. 1 second. Let's see if I can just, yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it is not perfect by a long shot. The Constitution is not perfect. In many respects, there are things that need to be done. But in as much as it's imperfect right now, it is strong enough for us to use to do the change, to bring about, to take our country back from these looters. There are things in there that are powerful enough for us to do, that we can use. Section 14(2)(a), sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria. And it's from the people from whom the government derives the power through this Constitution that we are talking about. And many Nigerians are not aware of that. They're not aware that the sovereignty belongs to us, each individual. Sovereignty belongs to each and every individual in Nigeria. And that is the fact that we must continue to tell Nigerians, to make people aware that the responsibility for our governance lies with us. We are assigning people through our voting for them to manage our country on our behalf. And they are answerable to us, the citizens. They are answerable to us 1000%. Whatever else they try and tell you by way of prayer, distraction, the responsibility that you place on their shoulders, they have to answer to us, the citizens. Why? Where is the lack of? Why do we have no roads? Why do we have no schools? Why do we have no hospital? Why do we have no bridges? Why do we have no rails? Why do we have poor healthcare? Why do we have poor sanitation? These are the questions that we are mandated within our Constitution. 42 states that the participation of the people should be ensured by our government, by the people in government. So we are mandated to participate in our own governance, and sovereignty belongs to us. And until we start breaking this harebrained idea of thinking that by reading the religion we are securing our rights in our nation and we will get a miracle help from somewhere, nothing will change. It will not change. The Bible does not recognize your rights. The Bible or the Quran does not recognize, nor does it acknowledge your rights as a citizen of Nigeria. The only document that recognizes and acknowledges and indeed guarantees your rights is this Constitution. And I'm telling you, as a Nigerian, tell your family and friends to share this Constitution. I've pinned it on there. Your responsibility. If each Nigerian has 100 people, let's make sure we reach them. Let's tell them, encourage them. I've told my brothers and sisters, I keep sharing it with them, making them aware that this Constitution is something that can change radically how we do things in Nigeria. And most of all, of course, when we're going to come into vote now in this election, I want to see people voting for AAC. I support AAC. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I believe in the policies of the manifesto that's been put forward by AAC. And I believe in our president to be Confederate 16 2019, Omoyele Sowore. And he's bringing a whole group of people behind him to actually make the change we need. He's come up with ideas. The man is ahead, streets ahead of anybody you care to mention. Anybody you care to mention. He came up with the idea of June 12. The government hijacked it. He came up talking about marijuana and cannabis and how we can actually profit from it. They hijacked. They said he was talking nonsense, and now Canada has jumped on it. Coca-Cola are going to put that in the drink because it helps, and we know that cannabis cures cancer. It helps with epilepsy. It deals with chronic pain, which I suffer from. It manages it. It controls it. It manages it. You know, and the most important thing about the cannabis is that the one we have in Nigeria is one of the most potent in the entire world. It's one of the most potent. And we need to get in there now, ensure we secure it before somebody starts telling us, oh, our own kind of cannabis is not good grade. And so that they can then use that to now expand their own market in our own market. We shouldn't allow that be happening. And that's what our president President Omoyele Sowore was telling us, to be fast, to get in there, get in the game now before it gets too late. But those people who are there, they're still talking nonsense. He proposed the idea of 100,000 naira per worker. So like a month. And that's a fair wage. That is a living wage. That is a wage on which people can live on. They can at least begin to build something. And then it's proposed 100,000 naira per semester for students studying. You know, the list I could keep going on. This guy has got so many ideas and how to actualize it. He's looking at the whole rest of ways on which we can deal with the lack of power issue. Combination of solar with the current generation way in which we generate electricity right now, and many other ways, and getting. I mean, right now in Nigeria, there are estates that don't have electricity problems. There are estates, but they deliberately keep millions of Nigerians in the dark because that's the way. That's a control tool, and it is. And they don't care about the health of Nigerians. For all of the generators that we are using in Nigeria, the fumes that are generated is harmful to health. The cancer rate has shot up in Nigeria, and none of these ministers have got answers. President Omoyele Sowore, come February 16, 2019, has the answers, and it's the man I believe that we should be working with. We should be bringing him, you know, following him, and ensuring that we can actually take on board Nigeria, take Nigeria to the new digital age. We're tired of analog thinking, analog brain thinkers, looters, visionless people who just come to our government to just purely loot and impoverish Nigerians. I mean, can you believe a VP was saying, I've got 5 houses and it's my money that I used to buy it. I got 5 houses in the UK. 5. So how did you make that money? Tell me again. Who gave you the money? How? These are the questions that we, the people, should be asking. And good afternoon, Davison. Sorry, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Emily. These are the questions I believe we, the people, should be asking these people. We shouldn't shy away of, confronting those who are in power. They are human beings like you and me. And ultimately, sovereignty as a Nigerian belongs to you. And they are serving you as a sovereign of that nation. They are accountable, answerable to you, not the other way around. And unless we Nigerians understand that fact and begin to think and walk along those lines, nothing will change. AAC is the party that's coming to take it back. AAC, take it back, action, save Nigeria now, I save Nigeria now. AAC, take it back, action, save Nigeria now, I save Nigeria now, action. We want action from you guys. We want action from you guys. This is not a joke. I'm not saying this out of just wishful thinking. We can do it. It is something that we can do. It is something that is doable for all of us. and we can reach each and every one of us. Everybody watching this video, you got friends in Nigeria, you got family, you got, you know, relatives. Share it. Make them aware. I've pinned the Constitution on there. I've read up to section 70 today. And we've tackled many areas. A key area for me was the issue of Saraki and this moving from one party to the next, and then the grounds under which he moved. It's a great area. We can farm them up. Another area also we talked about the issue of the national dual nationality and then being in our Senate or House of Reps. You know, that another area which, you know, we can make that clearer. As it stands now, it seems as though you can, if you are got dual nationality, based on Saraki effect, as a president, you can run, you know, regardless of whether or not with your dual nationality. You know, so many other issues. Melaye and the recall, that was a botched up job. The laws are there, but it wasn't fully applied. So, but being aware of it, each and all of us, Governor Yahaya Bello refusing to pay people, workers, but for find money, we'll find money to give to celebrate Buhari, and his own people in his state are suffering. The issue of there should be nothing like security votes. The money of each nation should be transparent, should be open. Each and every official should be able to give account of whatever money they receive on behalf of the state or locality, whatever, and no excuses. And if they fail to do so, we jail them. But the only way that can happen is we spread the knowledge of our Constitution across our nation, and then we can begin to address all these feelings. But like I said, above all else,